Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a stack of sources here covering a, well, pretty massive gaming announcement that seemed to catch a lot of folks off guard.
Absolutely. Today we're diving into the reveal of the next mainline entry in arguably one of the biggest survival horror franchises out there.
Right. And our mission basically is to unpack all the key info from these articles, the trailer transcript you sent over, figure out what it all means, and maybe why it dropped so suddenly.
Yeah, the timing is definitely interesting. There were hints not long ago suggesting, maybe news wasn't imminent. Then bam, this big trailer lands.
Felt like it came out of nowhere for a lot of people watching, almost like a bait and switch, some said online.
Exactly. Happened in the blink of an eye.
Okay, so let's jump into the hard facts first. What's the official name we're working with?
The official title is Resident Evil Requiem. And yes, confirmed, it's the ninth mainline game.
Requiem. Okay. Do we have a release date? Platforms.
We do. Sources are saying February 27th, 2026. And it's coming to PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S.
Good. So hitting the main current gen stuff, and Capcom's definitely leaning into the horror.
Oh, absolutely. They've explicitly called it survival horror. They use some pretty strong language, too, promising a, quote, heart-stopping experience that will chill you to your core.
Chill you to your core. Okay, that sounds like proper Resident Evil. So where does this fit in the timeline?
It's being positioned as a direct follow-up to Resident Evil Village, the one from 2021.
Right.
So it's continuing that shift back towards real survival horror that we saw, starting with Resident Evil 7, moving away from the more action-heavy stuff before that.
And you have to mention Capcom's strategy lately, right? They've kept the series so alive with those amazing remakes like RE4 last year alongside these new entries.
Totally agree. They've really been on a roll. It feels like the series is in a fantastic place.
Which again just makes the suddenness of this reveal even more, well, surprising.
Definitely adds to the buzz.
Okay, so that's the official announcement lowdown. But the trailer itself, digging into that transcript, that's where the real story hook seems to be. It starts pretty dark, doesn't it?
It does. It opens, looks like a pretty normal office setting. We hear this conversation. It's between a character named Grace Ashcroft and her superior.
Grace Ashcroft. And she's a technical analyst working on some report.
Exactly. She's focused on that, but her boss tells her to basically put it on hold immediately.
Why? What's happened?
They found another body. And it's showing this same disturbing pathology as some others they're investigating. It needs her specific skills, a technical analyst's eyes on the scene.
Okay, so a strange pattern of deaths. Where's the crime scene?
The Remwood Hotel.
The Remwood Hotel, right. And this is where things get personal for Grace, isn't it?
Very personal. Because this isn't just any hotel. It's the exact place her mother, Alyssa, was murdered 8 years ago.
Wow.
And the superior even says something like, "Time for you to face the past, Grace." Pretty direct.
So her job immediately crashes into this huge personal trauma. That's intense. Does the trailer stay, grounded in the reality?
Well, not for long. The mood shifts. You start hearing sounds of a struggle. Then these mysterious voices cut in.
Voices? Saying what?
One calls Grace a special one, the chosen one. Another one seems to know who she is, saying something like, "Ashcroft investigating all these strange deaths. And then you are my hope."
Whoa, okay, so definitely not just a straightforward murder case. Bigger forces involved, maybe supernatural, maybe BOW related.
Right.
And they're interested in her.
Yeah, it sets up this conflict that's clearly tied to her past, but also something much, much larger, right from the get-go.
So connecting these dots then, Grace Ashcroft, her mother, Alyssa. This leads to what feels like the biggest surprise from these sources, right? The lore connection.
This is the part that really got the fan base talking, judging by the online reactions. The sources confirm it. Grace Ashcroft is the daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft.
Alyssa Ashcroft from the Resident Evil Outbreak games, the spin-offs.
That's the one. The reporter character from Outbreak File 1 and 2. It's a huge connection. For years, Outbreak felt kind of separate, canon, but off to the side.
Right.
Now suddenly the daughter of an Outbreak character is seemingly the lead in a mainline numbered title. And the timeline fits the trailer confirms. Alyssa was murdered 8 years ago, tying into Grace's past at the Remwood.
Pulling Outbreak into the main story like this, that was definitely not on my bingo card. Or most people's, I imagine.
Not at all. People online were genuinely shocked, but also really excited. It suggests the RE universe is maybe more tightly knit than we thought. Kind of validates those spin-offs more, too.
And there was maybe even a hint about this years ago, something about RE7.
Yeah, some eagle-eyed fans pointed that out.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was a collectible newspaper article in Resident Evil 7 that was written by Alyssa Ashcroft.
No way.
If that's accurate, it means Capcom might have been seeding this specific connection for, like, years, which is pretty cool for lore hunters.
That's some serious long game planning. Okay, changing gears slightly. The trailer didn't just hint at characters, it gave us a major setting reveal, too.
Oh, yeah. Big time. It explicitly shows and mentions Raccoon City, but destroyed Raccoon City.
Including iconic spots like the RPD building.
Yeah, glimpses of it. But in ruins. Post-nuke.
Okay, that is interesting. Going back to Raccoon City, but after the sterilization operation, what was the fan reaction to seeing the city like that?
Huge excitement. People seem really pumped about exploring the city as this, like, empty, irradiated husk.
Creepy potential there.
Totally. Lots to talk about the atmosphere, a ghost town haunted by what happened. People are already speculating about what gameplay in a ruined Raccoon City would even look like.
It's revisiting the familiar, but making it deeply unfamiliar and unsettling. Taps into the series' own history.
Exactly. It's Raccoon City, but sort of filtered through its own tragic ending.
So moving on to the wider fan reactions, the speculation. Who do people think we're actually playing as? Is it just Grace?
Well, the trailer really puts the spotlight on Grace Ashcroft, so she seems like the main protagonist, definitely. But there are rumors floating around about dual protagonists.
Which wouldn't be unusual for Resident Evil, right?
Not at all. It's pretty common. The specific chatter mentions maybe Leon paired with Jill Valentine, or Leon with a new character, which would presumably be Grace. So it's still a bit up in the air.
And speaking of Jill and Leon, always a lot of talk about bringing back classic characters.
Always. There's a really vocal group wanting Jill Valentine back in a main role, feeling she's been sidelined a bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
And beyond her, people listed off a bunch of other characters they feel the series has sort of left behind. Names like Sherry, Jake, Carlos, Shiva, Ashley, Moira. Lots of hope for cameos or maybe bigger roles down the line.
Shows how invested people are in the whole cast. Now, about Grace, you mentioned she's Alyssa's daughter, but was there some confusion initially about who she was?
Yeah, just briefly. When the trailer first hit, some people apparently thought she might be Rose Winters from Village. Maybe just a visual resemblance.
Ah, okay.
But that got cleared up fast. Confirmed. Different character. She's Alyssa Ashcroft's daughter.
And there's a reason Rose might not be the focus right now anyway, according to the sources.
Right. The DLC for Village, The Shadows of Rose 1, was kind of presented as the conclusion to the whole Winters family saga, at least for now. So bringing Rose back as a protagonist would probably mean a pretty big-time jump for this series.
Makes sense. Another thing, fans apparently clocked straight away from the visuals, the engine.
Oh yeah, instantly.
Yeah.
Lots of comments recognizing the RE engine. Capcom's own tech.
What gives it away?
Things like the detail on character hair. Specific walking animations. They become kind of hallmarks of that engine. People know the look.
It really does have a distinctive visual style now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially for characters.
It does. And generally, fans seem happy with it. They mentioned its good performance, especially in more linear games, and how identifiable it is now.
Zooming out then, what's the general vibe about Capcom and Resident Evil right now, based on all this reaction?
Overwhelmingly positive, it seems. The consensus is that Capcom is just on a killer run with RE, pretty much since RE7, or at least since they course-corrected after RE6.
Right.
Lots of praise for the new games and the remakes, some people calling them one of the best developers out there right now. Seems like there's a ton of trust and excitement.
Sounds like they've earned a lot of goodwill. Any other specific hopes or theories popping up in the discussions?
Yeah, a few things. A decent number of people hoping for a return of the classic slower zombies, maybe alongside other enemy types.
The traditional shamblers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also some hope that Requiem might follow up on plot threads left dangling from Village, like Chris Redfield's whole situation with the BSAA and their use of bioweapons.
Okay, so fans are looking for those connective tissues too, not just the big new reveals.
Definitely. But circling back to those big reveals, the Outbreak connection, returning to a ruined Raccoon City.
Yeah.
These were genuinely surprising moves compared to, say, just continuing directly with the Winter story.
Feels like they chose a really unexpected path.
Yeah, they definitely zigged when a lot of people expected a zag. But it seems to have landed really well.
Okay, let's try and wrap this up. Pulling together the key takeaways from this deep dive into the sources. We've got Resident Evil Requiem coming February 27th, 2026. It's definitely survival horror.
Starring Grace Ashcroft, a new character with a deeply personal connection to the Remwood Hotel, the place her mother was murdered 8 years prior.
And that mother is Alyssa Ashcroft from Resident Evil Outbreak, a huge, unexpected tie-in to the series lore.
All of this playing out against the backdrop of Raccoon City, but post-destruction. A ruined version of the iconic location.
Yeah, it's that blend, isn't it? Grace's personal trauma, this wider mystery about the deaths, the surprising lore connection, and then exploring this iconic but destroyed setting. Lots of intriguing pieces.
Absolutely. The new character's personal stakes, the investigative angle, the outbreak link, the ruined city. It's a potent mix.
You know, it makes you think. Raccoon City itself is the site of historical horror for the series. And Grace's story starts with her own specific trauma around the same kind of time frame.
Yeah. It poses an interesting question, doesn't it?
Hmm.
How does confronting the actual physical ruins of a place like Raccoon City, its history literally decaying around you, force the characters, and maybe use the player, to grapple with all the unresolved stuff?
Yeah.
The ghosts of the past, both personal and, well, citywide.
A city haunted by its past, explored by someone haunted by hers. Definitely something to chew on while we wait for more. Thanks for digging into this with us.